They said the truth won't survive beside the lies that maintain the decaying faces of display. Pill ill, y'all niggas better listen. I'm black 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 pill, I'm ill with this will. 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 I'm black pill, I'm ill with this will.
It's so important, guys. So important. By the way, women are the majority of voters in the United States. It's so important, guys. So important. By the way, women are the majority of voters in the United States. It's so important, guys. So important. By the way, women are the majority of voters in the United States.
Hey, everybody, what's up? It's Hold the Truth hostage, where the truth was so important, we wouldn't negotiate with lies. We would hold the truth hostage. Now, what I'm going to be talking about is the female vote. And, you know, and I'm going to share a comment from Ben Shapiro. You know, you're going to see his comment on it, and you're going to realize, man, I've been ahead of the ball. You know, that there's different type of men in this world, you know. There are men that are ahead of their time that don't know it. You know what I'm saying? These are the guys where, oh man, he was ahead of his time. He was 5-10 years. He was over 50 years ahead of his time. Well, I'm a guy, man. I know I'm ahead of my time. You know, on the video I'm about to share with you, you're going to see that Ben Shapiro said women have the advantage when it comes to voting. They vote more, and they're the most voters when it comes to voting. And, you know, I've been a pioneer of this in the manosphere for, you know, over 2 years. I've been telling guys that the female vote was utilized to weaponize in the favor of the government and to filter out and basically devalue and decay the male vote. You know what I'm saying? Because there's a major practice that's being utilized that most men don't have enough critical thinking skills to realize this basic concept. You know, so if you have, for example, you have 50 women voting for the mayor, and you have 40 men voting for the mayor, you know what I'm saying? They're gonna count all the votes, meaning the votes of the men don't matter, because it's a numbers game when it comes to the sexes. You see, that's the corruption when it comes to voting. What you utilize now, remember, women die less, they go to war less, you know, they're the least killed people. I mean, Ben Shapiro even showed the stats that, you know, 4,000 women are killed to 17,000 men, you know. So what the government utilizes is the numbers game, but they use the numbers game on a sex level. So you'll have 50 women voting and you'll have 40 men voting. Instead of them equalizing it and saying, well, we have to keep it equal. We can't have one sex outvote the other. So we're not gonna count 10 of the female votes to equalize it so it's equal. So if you have 40 men voting and you have 50 women voting, you should only count 40 of those votes, you know? And this is why I say, man, and I've been saying this for a while, but before I get to that, let me play the Ben Shapiro video.
Killed in the United States, like in terms of homicide victims, I'm going to note that men get killed way more often than women. Now, that does not mean that women aren't put upon sometimes, that women don't have difficult experiences in life that many men don't have to have. But this notion that in widespread fashion, every woman is holding herself back all the time from a predatory, evil male patriarchy, women now constitute the vast majority of college graduates. Women are vastly overeducated in the United States when compared to men. Women coming out of college are earning more than men are when they first get out of college. There's a vast problem with males in the United States, actually. Males are falling well behind their female counterparts in the United States. But we have to keep pushing is the idea that women are victims in the United States. They're part of the victim coalition here in the United States, and you have to hear it from... It's so important, guys. So important. By the way, women are the majority of voters in the United States. It's just... It continues to be a source of amazement to me that the people in entertainment think that they are doing something heroic. Now, let them continue doing it. You want to create an opening for market competition so that we here at Daily Wire can make kids content and take away some of your market share? I'm happy to do it. I mean, I'm fine with it. Makes me more money. But as far as sort of poisonous pop culture, the wokeification of pop culture, again, taking things that used to be sort of so important, guys, so important. By the way, women are the majority of voters in the United States. It's just so important, guys, so important. By the way, women are the majority of voters in the United States. It's just so important, guys, so important. By the way, women are the majority of voters in the United States. It's just so important, guys, so important. By the way, women are the majority of voters in the United States. It's just so important, guys, so important. By the way, women are the majority of voters in the United States. It's just so important, guys, so important. By the way, women are the majority of voters in the United States. It's just...
Now, as you can see from the Ben Shapiro video, he clearly stated that, yeah, women vote more. And, I'm going to tag Ben Shapiro. Who knows, man? Might be able to get an interview. He might be able to talk to a man on an intellectual, critical thinking level that's extremely rare. And of course, a black-pilled man. So, there's no attachments and no emotion. But like I said, who knows, we might get an interview. But, like I said, man, I'm a pioneer, bro. I've been ahead of the ball. When it comes to a male's perspective on society and everything, I've been ahead, man. I've been ahead of the ball, bro. And what scares most people, and I already know I'm super shadow banned. It is what it is. I'm not worried about that being super shadow banned, whatever. There's that comes with the role of providing the knowledge I provide. But yeah, man, I'm a pioneer. I'm ahead, bro. I'm ahead. And like I keep telling guys, I know where I'm at. I know mentally how far ahead I am. And the thing you gotta understand is knowing that the female vote basically is utilized by the numbers to basically corrupt the voting when it comes to when both sexes vote, men and women. This country really will never change. When it comes to legal issues between men and women, when it comes to the marital issues, the divorce situation with the family court, the, child support, the domestic violence, it's not gonna change. And you see a rise of guys getting their passports, flying, and, you see a lot of women replying to these passport bros and the guys speaking about getting a passport, because just like the female vote in the country basically overwhelms and completely makes the male vote absolutely worthless. That's what the passport does. The passport does that to all marital issues domestically. Once you get your passport and you fly out the country, you basically are outside of the realms of domestic marriage, domestic child support, any of the issues that legally stand between men and women. That's why you see a lot of women reacting, because they understand that, the only cure, the only loophole to the stranglehold they have on the legal system by the numbers and by the fact that the government has weaponized the female vote and has basically weaponized female existence to imprison the men to further increase the private prison population. that there's only one solution for the men. And that solution is basically, if they're seeking a long-term relationship where the results are guaranteed, it's the men will go overseas, and the women here, and now, what happened with the black women first is that the government gave the black women basically the rights to the black men. The black men are basically the slaves. The easiest man to basically dispose of in America is a black man. Oh my God, it's a black man knocking on the door of somebody to deliver something. Call the cops. You know what I'm saying? And when you call the cops, there's an over 50% chance that black guy could be killed or whatever. So the black man's the most disposable. And of course you tag on to the fact that, black men in America don't really hold any wealth or hold any political stranglehold when it comes to the politicians they have in their pockets. You know what I'm saying? They're far more disposable than the white male in America, which has wealth and political representation, which is, they're the majority. They have more wealth, more political representation. Basically the white man is a lot harder to basically dispose of than the black man when it comes to the political and, authoritative system, police and all that stuff, because just when a cop's I'll give you a simple example. When a cop's about to arrest a white man, the cop has to think, who does this white guy know in the judicial system? Who does this white guy know in the police department? When a cop comes to arrest a black guy, okay, it's a black guy. You know what I'm saying? Now, unless the only time that's different is if said black person is identified as potentially, a person of other, from another nation, Nigerian, African, a group of people overseas that have political representation. It's different. And even that somewhat depends on the political power and representation also. But, I've been saying this for over 2 years, man. With the female vote being what it is, with how weaponized it has been since its founding. When they gave women the right to vote and they basically said it's worth the same as the male vote without the same requirements, requirements and same work. The men built the country, the men fight for the country, the men are the main forces, the mass majority that will go to war. The men are the builders of the country. And another thing is the men can function without need of government aid. So unlike the women that need the government, the men don't. So for the government to legally give the women the same voting rights as the men, it basically is a form of corruption. And as you could see in America right now, there's a deterioration. Now, a lot of people don't see what's going on, that there's a deterioration between men and women, but there's not a deterioration between the government and women. That relationship is stronger than it's ever been. Government program for this, government program for that. Government program for abortion. The list goes on. You know what I'm saying? And the biggest narrative is, oh man, before women could vote, nothing was being done for women. That's basically implying that all men, all of their sisters, their mothers, their aunts, all women that were in a man's family were being harmed and men weren't doing nothing about it. You know what I'm saying? Before the government had its initiatives, men were already protecting women legally and so on. Before the government got involved with the artificial creation and artificial insemination of feminism, men were already protecting women's rights. You know what I'm saying? You couldn't just go around and harm somebody's sister, somebody's wife, You know what I mean? The penalty was death. You know what I'm saying? A lot of men operate on a simple code, man. The code is, you know what I would do to you and might do to you if you do something wrong to me. You know what I'm saying? You respect me, I respect you. You know what I mean? There are consequences. But the thing is this, man. You gotta understand, with the female vote being so weaponized, this country won't change. What's happening in America right now, and I've been saying this for over 2 years, is that men are basically focused on profiting. They're focused on making money like never before. Because what America has, a great advantage America has over every other country, being the global currency and so on, and everybody trying to come here, is that America can basically artificially create a situation where the men have nothing to do but work. Because the marital laws are so corrupt, you know, it's in a man's best interest to avoid marriage and, you know, make money. Make money, increase the country's domestic economics and profit. Because of child support and so on, men shouldn't, you know, don't invest in a kid, invest in a dog, a pet, and so on. You know, the birth rate in America is at an all-time low, super decline. You know what I'm saying? And it's going to continue that way. And because what the government has done with its corruption, you know, of course, and it's even more corrupt than ever before, because you got to understand, you have feminized, you got the government, you know what I'm saying? Then you have the fact that the government has been feminized. I mean, think about it. You know, Hillary Clinton was, I think she was Secretary of State. She was Secretary of State sending men to war to die. You know what I'm saying? When as a woman, she knows she has the odds of her going to war as the majority would damn near nothing. You know, this is how the country operates. We literally have women deciding, you know, how many men will die and go to war. You know what I'm saying? So what's happening with the passports and so on, what's going to happen, and I've been saying this for over 2 years, a lot of men will start having families overseas. You know what I'm saying? They're going to have families overseas, but they're going to work here. They're going to maximize their earnings up here domestically. They're going to make money, as much money as they can domestically, which will, you know, help the tax. Basically, a lot of men will adapt the United States military base approach, where, you know, yes, you're American, but you have a base in every other country. So a lot of men are going to go overseas and establish a base overseas. So they're going to have families and so on overseas. And, you know, and the problem that's happening in America now, and the thing is, it's not just America, but the West, the entire West. So any country that's westernized and very similar to the American legal system when it comes to marriage, family court, and women, domestic cases, and so on, what's happening is the women did not understand. And, you know, it's not their fault. They're playing against strategically the mind of men. You know, men, this whole feminism thing has been planned out since, you know, since the Civil War, since before the Civil War in America. What a lot of women don't get, and why they're panicking, why the panic button is going at an all-time high with men saying they're flying overseas to start a family and so on, is that women are not as mobile as men when it comes to outside of domestic settings. So you'll see a lot of women flying in America, all over America. You know, a woman from, for example, New York will fly to Florida. A woman from Florida will fly to New York, California, whatever, because all the laws are the same. There's no change legally from state to state. You know, you're a woman in New Jersey, you're going to get the same treatment as being a woman in California. So all the legal advantages are nationwide, you know. But when it comes to leaving America, now a woman being a woman, going overseas, she's going to face a lot more problems because, the men, she's not a man, so people could take advantage of her, overpower her depending on the laws of that country. And the most important thing is the, the lifestyle, the lifestyle, illegal advantages and so on, and the money earnings. I mean, if a woman, for example, was to move, I'm gonna give you an example. A man from America moves to Chile, moves to Colombia. He starts a family, whatever. He brings in his money from the United States and he starts a family. And, in Colombia, it's naturally the men are allowed to be men and they have male authority and so on. Now, if a woman from the United States moves to Colombia and tries to play the role she can play in America of being masculine and trying to basically stronghold and strong arm that man, it won't be possible. The men in Colombia aren't legally treated as second-class citizens like you got here in America for the men. And the other thing for the woman is for her to move to Colombia, she's got to live under a man that will make far less than what she would make in America. And, she's going to lose access to that lifestyle. Men, on the other hand, man moves from America to Colombia, he's a man. Of course he's going to try to learn the language here and there, but what does he have to really worry about? He's a man. He goes there, he's going to handle himself accordingly. You don't got to worry about, the transporter situation happening. So what's happening is that, the cure to the sexual relationships and sexual market is the passport, and a lot of men are flying out. And what's happening is America's become so hyper agenda that a lot of the people coming here, for example, in the 90s, a family from overseas would come here and they try to stay. They'd become Americanized, apple pie and all that crap, Thanksgiving, blah, 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 great traditions, whatever. But now these families, a man, let's say a man from Africa, let's say a man from, India or whatever, they come here and they see that the school system is fighting to indoctrinate your children on sexuality. On sexuality, trying to confuse your children that they should have sexual operations and surgery at the age of 5, 10. You got Netflix putting out cuties, America now, in the eye of the foreigners, looking at it at, man, you have a family here. It's basically become a sacrificial thing because, hey, the school wants to indoctrinate your child that they should have a sex change. You got political parties literally fighting to promote insanity where they want to indoctrinate your children on, over sexualizing them, confusing them, basically teaching them and showing them things they're not even prepared for. Then you got Disney, you got multi-billion dollar corporations like Disney trying to show your kids about transsexuality in a kid's cartoon. I think they had that robot from Big Hero 6 where he was buying a tampon for a kid. Why would a little girl ask a robot to buy her tampon, and then a guy comes in that's a Decepticon or an Autobot, comes in a tranny, says, yeah, I use these tampons, a man. So a lot of foreigners are looking at the country now and saying, damn, man, I'm going to work here and go back home. I can't have my kids here. I could potentially teach them English. I could pay money for them to learn English, in the country back home. pay them to become, especially now with remote work, work on technology and so on, where all you need is a computer. You don't really need to touch the soil of a country. I mean, if you know how to work IT and all this and that. So a lot of overseas families are even just saying, I'm going to go to America to work. I'll bring back the money, but I don't want my family to come here. I don't want to expose my children to stuff that will basically all over the TV, from Disney cartoons for children to movies where they're over sexualizing and promoting pedophilia. I mean, look at Cuties. Promotion of pedophilia, man. This is how insane shit has got, and it's gonna keep going, and with the female vote basically, outnumbering and corrupting the vote when it comes to votes. And this is for over 100 years. As soon as women could vote, it became a numbers thing based on the sexes. So all politicians run with the whole notion of, yeah, I'm a family man, meaning I'm a man that requires a woman by my side to reach my potential. So all the female voters are looking at it from that perspective, while these politicians do not change, do not fight or try to change any, any of the family court laws that are completely corrupt. And a lot of the women, when they see the men with passports flying outside of the country, they're seeing someone they would marry and get resources, leave. They're seeing someone their daughters would marry, leave. You know what I'm saying? Their friends that aren't married not getting an opportunity. So a lot is happening, you know what I mean? And the thing is, the female vote is tied directly to the woke narrative and, the quotas and all this and that, to the fact that most families, the what they call that, the middle class is dying out. You know what I'm saying? The middle class is dying out. You got these quota things. Well, they've even come out and say, well, every corporation must have an equal amount of female CEOs and male CEOs. You know what I'm saying? This destroys the competitiveness that men would compete, the best ones that would win the job. Because now by value of your sex, you automatically should get that job, even if you're underqualified. So the system in itself, is utilizing, the government and corporations are utilizing sexual advantage. Just like I mentioned earlier, it's all about the sexual advantage when it comes to voting. If the government knows they can have more women votes counted than men, fuck the male vote. Male vote don't mean nothing. Then the same thing implies for the corporations. Since they can basically structure the female vote to stamp out the competition and raises. Because you gotta understand, the men will propose. The men propose, and the men are the ones that initiate marriage. So if the men aren't working and aren't getting a fair opportunity to obtain and access labor, that's less resources to propose and initiate marriage and starting a family and so on. Because, as much as they want to put out that we're in a modern society and this false claim of equality, this bullshit of equality, how can you be equal to the people that gave you equality? You know what I'm saying? It's like you come to my house, how are you going to be equal to me when you don't pay the bills, you don't do nothing? The only thing I can do when you come to my house is I can treat you like a guest with respect and so on. For me to say you're just equal, you're just like me in my fucking house. I mean, the men gave the women the ability to vote. How are you equal to the men when the men have to allow you, the option to vote? You know what I'm saying? There's a lot of manipulation going on and stupidity, but basically what's going on is this, man. We're at the point in the country where there's going to be a mass evacuation of male seed. A lot of men are and they're changing. They're going overseas to start a family. Now, as I stated, the first phase, and I'll go deeper into it later, the first phase is that men fly overseas and say, hey, the women are more feminine, blah, blah, blah. But what those men don't understand is it's because of the law. Women are only feminine based on the the laws. You know what I'm saying? In America, the women have an absolute legal advantage that makes them look down at men because the men have no value. The men basically have no authority in America. In America, when it comes to a relationship, a man is asking his woman allowance to be in his child's life. Can I still be in my kid's life? You know what I'm saying? So when the men, what's going on, a lot of men that will take the passport, go overseas, is that they'll go there and claim, yeah, the women are more feminine. That's gonna be the first. Mass majority of them. But soon, the ones that go over there will realize, yo, it's the law. It's the law. Women overseas do not have a legal advantage tied to the government and increasing the private prison industry. Because you gotta look at, I'm gonna tell you, practice this. Look at everything from a private prison incentive. You know what I mean? Domestic violence cases where the man is guilty until proven innocent. You know what I'm saying? A child support system where you have a kid, you go straight to jail. You know what I'm saying? Everything is incentivized with private prison in mind. So you gotta start looking at it like this. But man, I said, man, I've been ahead of the ball. When you watch my videos, you're watching the videos and opinions of a man that's ahead of his time, mentally, ahead of his time, and outthinking too many people that can't keep up. So we'll talk more about this, and I've covered this. I've covered this on my video, Feminism Fuels the Future. You know what I'm saying? The amount of content I have on here that's covered everything.
So important. By the way, women are the majority of voters in the United States. So important. By the way, women are the majority of voters in the United States. So important. By the way, women are the majority of voters in the United States.
So, you got to understand, with women being the majority voter in the United States, then you have the fact that there is no sign of, I don't have the word on me, but there's no sign that the government for the last over 100 years has even tried to basically, equalize and make it fair, where they'll only count a certain amount of votes when it comes to the sexes, is in they'll equalize. Yeah, basically, since women are the majority voters in the country and the government will not equalize votes when it comes to the sexes, as in if you have men and women voting, you have to equalize the numbers. You cannot have more women vote than men. It basically corrupts and makes the voting process worthless, because the voting process then becomes solely based on whichever sex that is the majority voter. You know what I'm saying? So that means until they basically say, okay, if men and women are voting, we're counting only the same amount of numbers. So if 1,000 women vote and 1,500 men vote, we're only counting 1,000 all across. We're not counting that extra 500. It has to be equal. And the thing that comes into it now, and this is why the women, I created this term a while ago called simp hunting. Women are hunting simps by speaking male perspectives, is that it's not going to help. And a lot of women, since women are the majority voters, basically, if they're not talking about changing laws and, getting together to change laws to save the family and all this stuff, it doesn't mean nothing. Then all that stuff about talking, about being submissive, loving and all that stuff, it's nothing more than talk. And more than talk, it's bait. And, this is what simp hunting is. A lot of women are simp hunting men, and you even see it with the men with the passports, talking to these women. You know what I'm saying, on these streams. And I get it, they're talking to expose their behavior. But at the same time, man, as men, you open a TV 24/7, they're down talking men, demonizing them throughout everything. So what's the point in even adding to that? You know what I mean? We can talk to women on a level of, sexuality, stuff that's common. But when it comes to talking about us as men, it's worthless. So since women are the majority voter, you have to understand everything that's happening falls on them. You know what I'm saying? It falls on them. So they have to basically change all the laws and legally go to vote to actually fix the situation. If they're not voting to change anything, then all this talk, all this stuff about being submissive, being loving, and all that stuff, it's bait. It's a Trojan horse, because I've seen it. I got a couple homies that, I got married. We were together for 5 years. They got married and she was loving and a supportive wife and all that stuff for 2 years. Then out of nowhere, she changed her mind and started being abusive and basically taking advantage of all the legal advantages she had, and started threatening them and threatening for divorce, threatening to take the kids and all that stuff. So what men have to understand with, women being the majority voter is that until women march in droves demanding that not only the laws change, but that so-called equality needs to be across the board when it comes to voting, that you can't have the sexes determine the votes. So, for example, like I was saying, just because 25,000 women voted to 23,000 men, you should only count 23,000 across the board. You can't count all the votes because you're giving one sex the advantage over the other. You know what I'm saying? That would equalize things and make the level playing field a little more equal, even though, it's still corrupt. A woman's vote should be at, 25% that of a man. But, I digress. That's another talking point. But basically, if women are talking about changing the votes, changing the laws and coming to vote and change everything to save families, then dude, it's a scam. It's basically a Trojan horse where they walk up front with loving wife. I want to care for you. I want to be submissive when the laws haven't changed. It's basically, we can't trick men into marrying us, marrying out of love and out of having children because, the men know the marital laws are rigged against them, and the men know that the child laws are rigged against them. So the new tactic now by the simp hunters, which a majority of women are becoming simp hunters, is that they're gonna basically try to seek men out through talking points, saying, hey, I will be loyal to you, I will be loving, I'm not like the other women, blah, blah, blah. They'll put down their own women, other women, just to try to get these resources. So now the bait and switch. And I've been ahead of my time. I've been telling guys, like I said, you're watching a streamer, you're watching a content creator that's ahead of his time. You know what I'm saying? I'm over 5 to 10 years ahead while everyone else is playing catch up. You know what I'm saying? So hey, you're in the presence of a man that's premiering everything, pioneering everything. You know what I'm saying? We ahead here. We're trying to be ahead of the schedule. You know what I mean? Think about that. Being ahead of the schedule, being ahead of everything. So, this is what's going on. So a lot of women now are using talking points and putting down other women just to get men to reinvest. And with the passport bros thing blowing up, men getting passports and flying overseas, not for vacations, but for relationships, and keeping those relationships overseas. Because, I know a lot of people will bring up, well, man, long-term relationships won't work. Yeah, long-term relationships in domestic United States or, any country like that, yeah, where the women legally do not have to be loyal to you, where all the laws are in their favor, where it's all about the destruction of the man and putting them through a private prison industry, yeah, long-term relationships would never work. The odds of that working are impossible, especially where the government is everywhere. The government is willing to do everything and make it illegal for you to do as a man anything. But if you have a long-term relationship overseas, especially now with technology, I got some homies that their wifey is in Colombia. They'll video chat with her. They'll video chat with her, the children. And because she's dependent on him and, the government isn't going to play the role of saving, and all that stuff and overstepping its boundaries, she will be loyal. You know what I'm saying? So he doesn't necessarily have to be there. And one of the homies, he flies there. Once every 2 weeks or whatever, he flies there to go see his girl in overseas. So what's happening is very simple, man. The men, men are traveling overseas. First comes travel. And once the men travel overseas for relationships, it's only a matter of time before they realize the women are more feminine over there because of the law. The law. It ain't even the culture and all. It's the law. The law is all about maintaining that balance and the government stepping aside, not overstepping its boundary like you have in the States, where the government will literally force marriage on you, called common law marriage. Oh, you've been living with her for over 6 years? Y'all married. You know what I'm saying? This is how invasive the government is towards men. Invasive. Oh man, you've been with her for 10 years? Y'all married. Y'all married. That's it. No dispute. Common law. So the thing is, with women being the majority voters, they have to decide what's going to happen. And as you'll see in the coming years, even with this Roe v. Wade thing, that's still bait. You know what I'm saying? They're gonna remove abortion, but in reality, there's a day after pill. You know what I'm saying? There's a day after pill, and it's more profitable for the pharmaceuticals to have massive amounts of women using day after pills than abortion, where how many women can you treat for an abortion per hour versus how many day after pills you can sell to them. You know what I mean? And and again, the government also wants to somewhat spike up the birth rate somewhat. You know how the government works. If it can just get a little number, look, the birth rate isn't in trouble. There's a spike. So there's a lot of men still. There's a lot of men that will march to be a sacrificial lamb. There's a lot of missing IQ men. As I said, missing IQ, they don't have enough logic or reasoning to talk to. But since the women are the majority voters, man, unless they're walking to change laws and quote unquote equalize the laws, well, let's make things equal. And until that happens, it's all talk, all fluff, all bait, and a Trojan horse. Because what happens is when you're the majority voter, all the problems legally, law-wise, fall on you. And since the women are the majority voters, everything going on, and men, be it consciously or subconsciously, are bringing this up. Yeah, you women need to change. Until the women march to change the laws and so on, and we all know that ain't happening. So That's why the men will basically utilize the passport and fly overseas. And, men will talk. Men will, we're in the age of video sharing. A lot of men are sharing videos of their escapades and, their relationships overseas and so on. So it's only going to spread. And it's spreading mostly on the black men's side. So the black men represent the culture. You know what I'm saying? Black culture in America is the number one form of culture, even though it's still being suppressed. And what the women fear, especially the white women, is they fear when the white man wakes up, and that will be finance. So, the white man represents finance, the black man represents culture. So when you have culture and finance both leaving the domestic country for overseas to have relationships and a family, it leaves the domesticated women with nothing. You know what I mean? No man to have. I mean, we're already with obesity rates high and everything like that. A lot of women aren't getting married. And then, of course, with polygamy being illegal, it's damn near ensured that women won't get married. You know what I mean? So women will be alone. So there's a lot happening. But like I said, women are the majority voters. So everything falls on them legally. And the men are just working now. Men are all about making their money. And to substitute the need for a child, men are getting dogs. You even see men now putting clothing on their dogs. Clothes, buying them fitteds, buying them hats, shoes, because that dog is the substitute for the child they would have had, the energy they would have invested. I know a couple homies that bought a dog like $100 jacket. You know what I'm saying? $100 shoes they bought the dog. You know what I mean? $50 pairs of pants they bought for a dog. You know what I'm saying? Because men understand that, hey, I can't put this energy into a child, so I'll substitute that with a dog or a pet. You know what I mean? So there's a lot happening, man. A lot. And since women are the majority voters in this corrupt, sex advantage, because I'm not using that bullshit word gender, that scam. Since women are the majority sex when it comes to survival rates, living, so the government has basically weaponized a woman's existence. That's why I did that video way back, A Woman's Never Single. Because she's claimed by the government just being, once a child's born female, it's already claimed under the government. So there's no such thing as a single woman. You know what I mean? Because the government's authority is already on her. And that's why the government loves it. The government is utilizing women just existing to basically manipulate and rig everything. Everything's rigged from the sex perspective. That's actually why they're probably promoting gender, to get it out of your sight that all these issues stem from the sexes. Battle of the sexes. That's really what we have. Battle of the sexes. And legally, the battle of the sexes, the women won the battle. The women won the battle of the sexes. You know what I'm saying? And the men won the war. You know what I mean? The war is that every time a man steps away from the domestic relationships, long-term investments, it affects women in the hundreds. One man affects hundreds of women. One woman affects, probably 50, because a woman can only be with so many men, and she doesn't have any resources, you know what I'm saying, to split amongst these men, unlike a man who could go out multiple times and, he'll buy a drink, he'll party with this woman, that woman, go on multiple dates here and there. Because even though women work, the men are still taking the women out. You know what I'm saying? The men are still taking the women out. The women aren't taking the men out. Not in a huge, massive amount. You know what I'm saying? So the men, a lot of guys in the manosphere do this advertisement, or the women control the dating market. Not really. Not at all. The men control it. Because the male investment actually determines how many women will actually have access to a man. I mean, men sliding into women's DMs, that has no price, that has no cost. But men taking women out on a date, that's an investment. And if you're talking about the dating market, aka dating market, then you have to include that the drivers of the market are those that invest money into it, i.e. investing money into dates, going out, this and that. Then it's the men. The men basically drive the dating market. The men decide the price, everything. Because the men invest the money. The women don't invest money into taking men out, not in a large scale. You know what I mean? So the men are what drives the market. That's why I say the majority of guys outside of the black pill scams. I'm going to do a video on that. But I said, man, to close it out, the women are the majority voters, which means everything in the legal system falls upon the women. All the issues legally fall upon the women. You know, all of them. You know, domestic violence, racial discrimination, everything. Since the women are the majority voters, everything legally goes to them. You know, all the issues, all the problems. You know, when you break it down, you're the majority voter. You know what I'm saying? You're the one that they use to basically rig the whole system. You know, it's about the sexes first, giving one sex the advantage over the other. Like I said, I'm going to close it out with, think about it. You know, 500,000 women vote for the president, 450,000 men vote for the president, and they count all the votes instead of saying we have to have it equal all across. We're only counting out of that 500,000 votes from the men and the women. We're only counting 450,000 because we have to make it equal. We can't have more votes on one sex than the other. You know what I'm saying? It corrupts the system. You know what I mean? And this is literally what's happening in the job market, since they got these quotas. You know what I mean? You must employ the same amount of female CEOs as male CEOs. You know what I'm saying? It fucking corrupts the whole thing. You know, raises everything. I could go on. You could watch my video, Feminism Fuels the Future. Made a whole documentary type thing. I just talk about it for hours. All right. It's been Hold the Truth Hostage, where if the truth was so important, we wouldn't negotiate with lies, and you would accept the fact that women are the majority voters. So everything legally falls on them. All right, peace.
Important. By the way, women are the majority of voters in the United States. Important. By the way, women are the majority of voters in the United States. Important. By the way, women are the majority of voters in the United States. Important. By the way, women are the majority of voters in the United States. Important. By the way, women are the majority of voters in the United States.
Pill ill, y'all niggas better listen. I'm black 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 pill, I'm ill with this will. 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 They said the truth won't survive beside the lies that maintain the decaying faces of this place.